Okay, we are live. So, Todd Villarubia, I do appreciate you coming on to our show today. My name is Renee Manford with What's Your Passion, and our passion is your passion. Our podcast is all about really just interviewing really good people in different industries and hearing their stories and realizing, basically some areas of really where they came from, where they are, and how they serve and help people. And I know Todd and I have been connected through the social media channels for some years. I've seen you, and you and I have never really met. I don't think, unless it was some past events. Am I correct or
No,
not?
I don't believe we've ever met. I know of you, and I was in Vistage. I think at one point you were thinking about joining our group, and with Joe Liss many years ago. So, or EO, one of the two, because I was in Entrepreneurs Organization as well for most of the past 2 decades.
Okay. So Todd, give me a little bit on your background. I mean, I think you've been in estate planning and attorney for over 30 something years, and I think you serve a lot of different individuals and everything from estate planning, insurance, and things of that nature. Is that correct?
Yeah, so my background is, I'm a 30-year tax attorney. After law school, I went and got a master's degree in tax law. And that's a real competitive advantage, frankly, for my clients because, when you're a business owner, if you just go to someone that may be an estate planner but doesn't have a tax specialty, or you go to a business owner that maybe he goes to a tax attorney that knows about retirement accounts but doesn't know about estate tax planning or doesn't understand income tax planning. I've been blessed that, the thing I love doing more than anything is the estate tax planning. Although, especially with President-elect Trump, so,
Right.
somehow I got flipped here.
Yeah. I just now noticed that flip back.
I don't, unless I do
Ah,
this.
what is that? That's perfect right there. Is that your computer?
Yeah, it's just my iPad that I'm on. I'm just enjoying the weather out here today. It's a beautiful morning.
No,
Um, so, I love doing the estate tax planning. That's really what we've kind of become known for around the country. We have
right.
clients around the country that are worth more than 20 million that we do some high-end estate tax planning and trust structures. But then we have, regular mom and pop, clients as well. So it's kind of a broad range. But it's really the business owner clients who are my heroes that I'm so passionate about. Business owners are, in my opinion, the fountainhead of human progress. I'm a
Right.
big Ayn Rand fan, and we're actually setting up what's called a family office for our high net worth families,
Mhm.
where you know I've got a I've got a network of literally the best financial planners, retirement planners, property and casualty agents,
Right.
corporate litigation attorneys, patent attorneys, where we can bring this team of experts to a business owner and then let them pick and choose which services they need. And we do everything we do is on a flat fee basis. So you know exactly what the investment is. We're usually getting our clients a 10 to 1 ROI that we guarantee. Sometimes it's 100 to 1, just depending upon what we're doing.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So, I've been into the insurance industry since '97. I started out with Blue Cross and Blue Shield, and I basically just did health insurance. Then I ran into Primerica. Then I did life insurance, financial planning. But really, I wasn't a certified financial planner. I just basically helped individuals with their insurance policies. And over the course of the last few years, because of the financial problems that the banks are not lending, I'm like yourself. I partner with two people that are doing family offices because they're actually the ones who are lending. And it's kind of like the new banks. Is that what's happening in your world? Do you see that there's like the new banks that are
Yeah,
open to helping
there's
small
so much
businesses?
change coming, and it's interesting. One of my clients showed me a chart the other day that indeed the middle class is shrinking. But what's interesting is that the number of people worth a million or more is rapidly growing. Unfortunately, so is the very bottom growing. But that's what's causing the middle class to shrink,
Right,
Uh,
right.
really interesting. And now, I got to tell you, I've never had an election in my 3 decade career that would have had such a opposite impact depending upon who got elected, and for Trump to get elected, we're on the estate tax side, you know, everything I'm hearing, because I'm tied in with people around the country, is that they're not going to change the estate tax exemptions, that they're going to pass a bill within the next first 100 days of his term, that's supposed to be a comprehensive tax bill. One of the things that your listeners might find interesting, most people think their CPAs know about the tax law, but they really don't. They know a little bit, but as a tax lawyer, we had to study all the 80,000 pages of code and regulations on top of that, and the case law on top of that, and the
Okay.
revenue rulings and all that stuff on top of that. And I can tell you, it's really interesting because people don't realize. Did you know that there wasn't an income tax until 1913? So for the that
1913.
that's correct. We've only had an income tax in this country for a little bit over 100 years. For the overwhelming majority of the time we've been in existence, we existed off of tariffs.
Right.
And of course, government was much smaller back then, and suddenly people started feeling that the government needed to get bigger and more involved in our food and our regulations and how we build roads and everything else. So, look, people ask me, what do I do? I don't tell them I'm a tax attorney. I don't say I'm a board certified expert in estate planning. What I tell them is that for over 30 years, we've helped thousands of business owners protect billions of dollars from the government, taxes, and creditors. It's what we do.
Hmm. I think it's a lot. It's about education. It's helping people understand, because they don't understand until it happens, right?
Right.
They don't get to that point of understanding, realizing that even you can have a will, but if you don't really have that trust or that really planned out, that you can go to probate and your money's gonna be tied up in the government and giving them choices and options on how to use that money. Is that correct?
Yeah. So at the foundational level, it's really awful. I will tell you that 95 out of 100 times when I see somebody, first of all, half the population doesn't have a will. And,
Right.
and of the half that I do see, they're anywhere from awful to okay. I rarely see somebody's plan that has been done correctly. And I got to tell
Wow.
you, 99 out of 100 times, whether it's a living trust or a will, there are significant, usually, improvements that can be made. In one area that people don't think through well at all, even with other, I'm one of only 100 board certified experts in estate planning and administration in Louisiana.
Wow.
There's probably only a few thousand of us around the country that are certified by our states as experts. So
Right.
that's the first thing that I always tell people. You don't need to go to me. But if you're getting your estate plan done, think about what this means. This is a document that represents everything you've worked hard for every day of your life, that
Right.
you've managed to scrape by and save and hustle and blood, sweat, and tears. And this is the culmination of everything and what you want to do it. What's going to be your impact? Is it going to be your kids? Is it going to be your spouse? What if you're blended families? And people don't realize, if you had a heart attack, you wouldn't think about going to a podiatrist. Well,
Right. Right.
similarly, in the law, there are experts now. And in Louisiana, we have, I think, 6 different subspecialties. So there's estate planning and administration that I'm one of, there's
Right.
bankruptcy, and there's others. So it's important when you go to an estate planner that you ask, are they a board certified expert? And secondly, if you're a business owner, I think you also want somebody with the dual designation of an LLM in taxation. That way they'll know both the tax laws and that. And then third is that we are also a fiduciary investment advisor rep. So in addition to being insurance licensed, I'm also a fiduciary investment advisor rep. So we do retirement plans and financial planning and
Right.
stuff like that for our clients. Now, that's not where my passion is. I help people. We're doing some really cool retirement planning now that most people don't know about. It's a 412 plan that's really, I think, the best retirement plan I've ever seen for a small business owner.
Okay.
We just did one where my client and his wife are going to put away $1.5 million. They did it in September, and were able to count it against last year's tax return. We saved them $650,000 in income taxes for last year, and then they're going to be able to put in $1.5 million every year for the next 4 or 5 years, and have a substantial retirement. And it's all asset protected in that retirement account.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're so right. When I was in a training class in Alabama a couple of weeks ago, and it's amazing how people just don't they don't know. They're thinking that, like you said, there are certain types of attorneys, there are certain types of CPAs. Not everybody really specializes in estate planning. And like you're saying, is that you really have, if you work so hard for your whole life to build your companies, your business, you have different pockets. So you have your properties, you got your investments, you got your business, right? That's what I'm starting to realize more and more as certain people I'm dealing with also, is just they just don't plan correctly, and they also don't plan really in advance. They wait until the last minute when
Right.
sometimes it's too late, right? It's just too
Exactly.
late.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you, we had 2 clients come in that found us on the internet. Both, one was a widow, one was a widower, and neither of their spouses had done a will, not even a simple will. One of them tried to, and she typed up a piece of paper and signed it. Well, that's
Right.
not a valid will under Louisiana law. And I got to tell you, the consequences are just disastrous. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. They're horrific. So, literally, one of them, so my widower lost his wife, and they didn't have any kids. They've been married 31 years. He stuck by her side through awful dementia and psychiatric issues, stood by her, didn't leave her. They built their wealth together, have a house together. They don't have any kids. She dies. Guess what happens? Do you know?
I mean, without a will and everything, I mean, basically it goes to the courts, right? I mean,
The state will decide it. So there's state law that governs what happens when somebody has a will. And I think he rightfully would have thought the law should presume, since there's no kids, especially, that he would get the house, for example. And they
right.
got $1 million house. This isn't some little piece of property. Well, guess what? Under Louisiana law, he doesn't get her half. Her siblings inherit her half. He only gets what's called a usufruct, which is the use of it and the income off of it. But if he needs to sell it or mortgage it, he is up the creek without a paddle. Second client,
Wow.
same day comes in, different family. She lost her husband. Well, she's telling me all about the kids. So I'm thinking they got 3 kids. Well, all of a sudden they tell me they got another kid. Well, at least he's got another kid. And then one of the people on the call started talking about their stepfather. I said, wait a second, the decedent was your stepfather? Yeah. Well, who's his child? Well, his child's this lady that they haven't talked to in 20 years. I said, you got
Jeez.
to be kidding me. Well, he doesn't have a will. Guess what happens? It goes to the child, subject to his wife's usufruct. But once again, she can't sell the house. She's going to owe that child half of the estate. And he's got commercial property. He's got all sorts of equipment on that property that we got to
Wow.
figure out how to sell. She's entitled to half of those proceeds. It's awful. And then I could, name somebody that everybody in the New Orleans community would know who it is. That when he first came to me, he had a will that was so messed up. It was clear to me that the attorney had taken a tax attorney's language as a form
Uh-huh.
and pasted it into their own document and didn't know what in the world they were doing. It was going to actually cost my client $5 million of additional estate taxes because they didn't know what they were doing.
Wow.
So we see problems all the time, even among some of my fellow, board certified experts, frankly. I can't tell you how many times I see a will. Okay, it's been done by a tax attorney or an estate planner. Great. And it's got trust. Great. But let's look at the trust. Who's managing the trust? I have a client right now. She inherited from her parents' trust. It's millions of dollars of assets, and they've got some bank as the trustee. She can't even manage her own money. She's 70 years old. She's responsible. And for whatever reasons that they didn't name her. So now we're having to go to court to try to get them removed. But
So let's say she passes and that trust is at the bank, then what happens to that trust?
well, it passes pursuant to the terms of the trust. So in this case, it'll go to her daughter.
Wow.
But
It's
she
it's
wants
like
to set up a dynasty trust so that we can go forever, because the land she has is farmland and she
right.
wants to keep it for generations. So we're setting up a Delaware trust for her. But to get back to my point, even among other so-called experts, I see a lot of people draft wills that have trust provisions, but then the trust will say, at 20, they do what's called ages and stages. At 25, they get a third. At 30, they get a third. And then at 35, they get the balance. And the idea is that way they get a little money when they're a little young at 25, but they don't realize they did the will 10 years ago when they were worth 500,000. Now they're worth 20 million, and they got 2 kids. And they're not thinking through, if they die tomorrow, that half of that would go to the oldest child. That oldest child just turned 25, and guess what? He's a drug addict. He's getting sued because he's getting in wrecks all the time. He's already been through 2 divorces, and we got a third of $10 million coming out your trust because you didn't think through that with your attorney didn't think through that like they should have. So inevitably, when I see other people's documents, there's improvements that can be made. And if you haven't gotten this done, I urge you to make an appointment with us. There's no obligation. We don't charge for our initial meetings. All we ask is that our clients complete it takes about an hour. It's a comprehensive intake that'll help me see all the details about your family and your finances so that we have a clear picture for when we meet. We answer all your questions in private, confidentially. And then at the meeting, we can quote you a flat fee for the work we do so you know exactly what the investment is. And typically, like I've said, we're getting our clients at least a 10 to 1 ROI on their investment.
Wow. So the process, which anyone who is, let's say they're just now starting out, they have a small business, they don't really have a whole bunch of savings. Should they see you like in the very beginning, like starting to kind of figure out where you are?
Like one of our clients, we're getting ready to set him up as a C Corp, and he's pretty young in his business, but we think it's going to grow very rapidly, and he's looking to exit in like 7 to 10 years. Mm-hmm. And the reason we set him up as a C Corp is that there's a special provision under the code that allows you to exclude $10 million of gain on the sale of C Corp stock. And there's even a way that we've used with a couple of our clients where we can even double that so that we can shelter $20 million from capital gains tax. Wow. Saves my clients millions of dollars.
So when you look at a C Corp and an S Corp, what's the biggest difference in your eyes?
Oh, Jesus. I could spend hours lecturing on the differences in structure and in, taxation. They're completely different entities.
Gotcha. So it's really just information. I mean, I've watched a lot of your videos you're putting out there. So if you're based off of what you're sharing, just if different educational. So you're educating individuals. Are you finding that's helping you with your marketing strategies?
It's early. We just really started this in the last month or two.
Gotcha.
We were really preparing just in case Kamala would have gotten elected, because frankly, there wouldn't have been enough time in the day to handle all the business. People were so worried about it. I have a lot of clients that are in that $5 to $20 million range. And it's not just Trump getting elected. It's the fact that the Senate's Republican and likely the House as well, means that there's a good chance everybody that I trust in the estate planning community, Bob Keebler, people like that, believe that they're going to keep the estate tax exemption right where it's at. So
awesome.
That's good news for a lot of small to mid-sized business owners.
So if you were to say, what are some of the best clients that you feel at this point right now? But no, I'm excited. I feel like 2025 is going to be a great year. I think the oil industry is going to start hitting. I'm hearing some stories with some conversations with
Yep.
Trump and Landry. I'm sure you're hearing. Hopefully, Louisiana. Do you see Louisiana's going to be coming back?
I absolutely think so. Think about the political power we have between Johnson and Scalise and their
Mhm.
relative to positions, in the Senate and House. And then, I do think, I mean, we're starting to look at offshore energy. There's a lot of very compelling reasons for Louisiana. When you add it on top of our culture and our food and the, rich music history we have here. The things I'm most excited by is, I don't foresee them getting rid of the estate tax. So for clients that are 20, 30 million and above, let's say, up to the billionaires, there's some beautiful planning that we do that is very cost effective and compelling, saves families millions of dollars using family partnerships and charitable trusts and dynasty trusts that we set up. The other thing is to start talking to business owners and let them know and educate them that, you know, 401k is not the only answer.
Right.
You can put a profit sharing on there. You can do backdoor Ross. You can add a pension plan. You can look at a cash balance plan. You can look at a 412 plan. There's all these different options out there. And unfortunately, most people have a CPA that is only, and I say only, it's still a lot of work. They're
Right.
doing the reporting, but they're not doing proactive planning for their clients. So the CPAs aren't telling you about cost segregation and
Right.
the new there's a new Native American tax program out there, investment program out there. The CPAs aren't notifying, the financial advisors aren't. You really kind of got to go to somebody that's kind of tied into all those communities like we are, so that you can get plugged into the best of the best.
So I find so as a again because I started my consulting I guess back in 2011 because of insurance. As I was sitting down with clients, I started realizing that they had other problems, so they would ask me, "Who do I know?" Right? And then I got into real estate, and so over the course of the last few years, I've become this business advisor because even myself, I have a CPA, I got an attorney, but nobody's calling me up. Hey, Renee, let me talk to you about this, this, this. It's like you have to personally reach out, and that's why I'm doing this podcast, and What's Your Passion podcast, because it creates conversations and it helps people understand things because you can't get the time or you don't know who to go to, right? Like you're saying just now saying is that you have a CPA, but your CPA is not really looking out for you sometimes and calling you up, and they might be more attentive to the bigger players because they want to keep their business, but they're missing out on the small. So the small business owners don't really realize what is out there because they're not getting the education. They're not getting taught. They don't know who to talk to. So that's where this podcast and some of the things that I'm doing. So what do you feel about with the indexed annuities and variable? Do you use those as part of your planning to help you?
Yeah, with the 412 plans in particular, we're using fixed products. And, I like the idea of a guaranteed income. It's great to have 2 million, 5 million sitting invested, but you really don't know what that's going to be. And you don't know what the long term or short term is going to be. And to have an annuity there that is, guaranteed, I think a lot of times makes sense. But the index products for the right clients are right too. You just got to have a higher risk tolerance.
Right.
One thing I can tell you is every single client we meet with has a unique estate plan and a unique financial plan and a unique business plan and a unique tax plan.
Right.
Every single one's different. Now there's common themes and there's common things we use, but everyone's different. I'm not going
Good.
to be talking to somebody that's has a business that's only making $1 million a year about captive insurance companies. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
But if you're making 50 million a year and you don't know what a captive is, then you need to upgrade your advisors. You know.
So do you feel like the individuals who are just employees, okay, so they're working for an average companies, they got a 401k plan. Do you suggest for them to start really saying, yes, you got the 401k plan, you have some different benefits? Is it always good to start also creating your
I should be
own?
simple. Number one, make sure you put in enough to at least get the full match from your employer. And number two, start to think about developing a side hustle, whether it's real estate, which is always, historically a winner. Figure out a side hustle because you're never going to get wealthy. You're never going to be able to accumulate wealth working for somebody else.
Right, right. And do you think when it comes down to like setting up a side Roth IRA and things of that nature, that's always beneficial?
Absolutely. I love Roth accounts. I know personally, I've always tried to, there was a year about a decade ago where we were actually able to convert a Roth and pay the tax over a 2 or 3 year period. And I took advantage of that, at the time. And I highly encourage people to do that. Absolutely.
Okay. Well, Todd, I do appreciate it. I'm gonna put your information in this video and the link. And where do people get in touch with you? What's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
So you can reach me.
I think we might have had a little technical. Can you hear me, Todd? All right. I'm not sure if I lost Todd or not. But you can reach Todd. Let me see. I apologize about this. A little technical difficulty. Todd, can you hear me? Okay. So, everyone, this is Renee Manfrey. I do apologize about we had a little technical difficulty there. Let me see if I can get him back on.
Are you with me?
Yeah, I'm here now. Okay, I lost you there for a minute.
Yeah, I've been going at it since 3:30 this morning, so my iPad ran out of juice. So yeah, I'm sorry. I was saying if anybody needs to contact me, again, we offer complimentary consultations and flat fees for the work we do. You can reach me via my email, my direct email, which is Todd, TODD, at lawealthplan.com, LAWEALTHPLAN.com, or you can call our offices, which is 1-504-900-2763.
All right, Todd, I do appreciate it. You enjoy your day, and we will have
Thank you,
you.
Renee.
I'm going to schedule the other podcast with the other program and see if you're available for next week.
All right, sounds good. Just give me a little heads up. All right, appreciate it. All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye-bye.
So I want to thank y'all for joining with your passion podcast. So Todd Villarubia is a local tax attorney and estate planning professional. So if you have any information, you can reach out to him anytime. And I look forward to you subscribing to our channel. If you have an interest on being in the channel, you have something that you really feel like is going to be beneficial for others to learn about. I look forward to hearing from you. And so just subscribe, ring the bell. And if you're getting good information, that value from our podcast. Thank you very much. And this is Renee Manfrey, What's Your Passion? Bye-bye.